Story. The Song of Everlasting Sorrow, written by Wang Anyi. Summary of story: The Song of Everlasting Sorrow. The Song of Everlasting Sorrow by Wang Anyi takes us on an adventure through Wang Qiyao's life in Shanghai following World War II. She enters this environment amidst the busy Lantong, Shanghai's working-class neighborhoods, crowded, complex streets. We see Qiyao's adventures, her happiness, and her hardships as the narrative progresses. She deals with the difficulties in her environment, stumbling through a web of relationships and social norms. Qiyao's trip is typical of the time, showing how society and culture were changing in Shanghai after the war. The story shows a continuously evolving town in amazing details, reflecting the complex nature of interpersonal relationships against this shifting backdrop. Readers are taken into Qiyao's complex life story, her aspirations, and the lasting events that shaped it through Wang Anyi's writing. The Song of Everlasting Sorrow offers insights into the human spirit and its timeless nature of longing and resilience by skillfully integrating personal narratives with a larger social canvas. The way Wang Anyi depicts Qiyao's trip offers a moving look at a time and a person's search for identity and a place in a world that is changing. The Song of Everlasting Sorrow is a moving commentary on the changing sociocultural changes in the time, as well as a portrayal of Qiyao's personal journey, set against the beautiful backdrop of post-war Shanghai. In addition to chronicling Qiyao's development, Wang Anyi's story creates a vivid picture of the city's transformation, from its crowded streets to the winds of change that blow through its streets. Because of Qiyao's complex life story, the novel becomes an expression to the human spirit's tenacity in the face of historical conflict, providing a moving look at a woman's struggle to create her identity in a society defined by change and uncertainty. Chapter 1. The Longtong's Labyrinth. The Lantong, network of winding lanes, was the center of post-war Shanghai. Here, in the middle of the busy activity of the working-class areas of the city, Wang Qiyao took her first breath. Her family was one among several pushed into the narrow lanes of the Lantong, sharing a small, suffocating area. Early memories of Qiyao were colored with the vibrant colors of the neighborhood that surrounded her. The sound of neighbors conversing, sellers pushing their wares, and kids having fun in the few available spaces filled the lanes. In this world, people were known with one another through common difficulties, which united them in a resilient, strong relationship. Qiyao grew up surrounded by a jumble of lives, each thread woven into the fabric of the Longtong's tapestry. As she toddled through the streets holding onto her mother's hand, as well as Qiyao took in the sights, sounds, and smells of her home. The Lantong was a place of contrasts, a symphony of smells from street food stalls mixing with the strong scent of the nearby river, a flurry of voices blending into an even singing that spread through the restricted areas. Qiyao felt amazement and interest in the middle of this busy microcosm. Her eyes shined with a yearning to see the metropolis that flourished outside the Longtong's walls and to venture farther afield. But during those early years, the Lantong was everything to her, a place where people struggled to survive and where dreams were born and where the maze-like alleyways housed tales of hope, determination, and the unwavering determination of the locals. Chapter 2. Childhood Dreams. Wang Qiyao's childhood dreams grew like delicate flowers in a bustling urban garden in the middle of the bright Lantong. As she developed, her dreams moved with the everyday rhythms of Shanghai's post-war existence. Dreams for Qiyao evolved from the physical world around her. She would look with wide eyes at the hard-working people, each following their own way through the alleys. She was able to extend her imagination beyond the busy streets thanks to the stories she heard and the sights she saw. Dreams provided Qiyao with comfort in spite of her difficulties. Her yearning for knowledge and understanding the world outside of the maze-like Lantong colored her days. Like a beautiful symphony, education appealed to her, giving a path out of the tight streets and into a world of opportunity. During those early years, the city was a mixture of diverse elements. Qiyao saw the changes taking place all around her. The old gave way to the new, and traditional values mixed with current goals. Her dreams, each a ray of faith in an uncertain and changing world, began to take root in this changing soil. In the midst of the bustle and the little lanes, Qiyao's dreams hinted at a time when she would be able to overcome the limitations of her surroundings. They were the flickering flames that led her through the maze of options that lay ahead and lighted her path. As Qiyao grew older, her goals became the source of her motivation, encouraging her to find her own path in a city undergoing rapid change. Her early dreams served as the hardy seeds that, when planted in the rich soil of her mind, would one day develop into a reality beyond the Longtong's maze-like heart. Chapter 3: Shifting Tides. The Lantong, like the rest of Shanghai, felt the effects of change in the aftermath of history's tides. A little older now, Wang Qiyao saw the currents change the very structure of her world as they swept across it. Following the war, Shanghai was a painting that was changing. The urban landscape changed, showing hints of development and recovery. In reaction to these shifting times, the Lantong also experienced evolution. The once proud buildings had been replaced by sky-reaching towers that threw fresh shadows on the well-known lanes. The changes were apparent to Qiyao. The familiar corners of the Lantong appeared to change overnight, bearing new symbols and filled with fresh energy. The smells of newly painted walls and the noises of buildings that broke the everyday rhythm of life mixed with the echoes of history. The people living in the Lantong responded to these changes. With them came fresh faces and their own tales and viewpoints. Qiyao watched as customs combined with modern elements to create a work of art made of threads from several times in history. But there was still a resilient undercurrent despite the confusion of change. Although being affected by the changing tides, the residents of the Lantong continued to keep their sense of unity. Together, they overcame the changes, drawing strength from their shared past and the relationships they had developed through hardships. These changing tides showed the flexibility and strength of Qiyao. They served as a reminder that the Lantong spirit continued despite the stresses of change, serving as a ray of hope among Shanghai's changing post-war landscape. Chapter 4: A Glimpse of Hope. Through the shifting texture of Shanghai's post-war history, Wang Qiyao found a ray of confidence. It was a moment when the lure of possibility drew her in, offering a peek of something other than the Lantong. Qiyao had a burning desire to learn new things. She managed to take the initial steps towards her goals in spite of the difficulties. Education turned into her ray of hope, like a far-off oasis in the middle of the desert. She was determined to study and develop her vision beyond the small lanes that had previously been her world. Important friendships grew all through this period of her life, and she met powerful teachers in unlikely places. Her path was enriched by encounters with knowledgeable people and kindred spirits who pointed her in the direction of places where she could pursue her goals. She found doors of opportunity, little openings that allowed her to see glimpses of the world outside the Lantong. Qiyao jumped at the chance to satisfy her thirst for information, whether it was by checking out books from the library, having discussions with people who had seen more, or taking advantage of free time to attend impromptu classes. She found special time to follow her interest amidst the Lantong routines. These sparkles of hope, these shards of another life, were the spark that kept her soul burning and helped her cross the maze of her circumstances. Between the busy cityscape and the layers of history, Qiyao found the strength to believe that there was a road, a path going towards the achievement of her dreams in these pockets of confidence. These moments guided her towards a future she dared to imagine beyond the Longtong's complex passages, like stars in the night sky, distant yet brilliant. Chapter 5: Love and Loss. Love and loss got woven into the fabric of Qiyao's story as her life ebbed and flowed. The complex web of romantic connections pierced her heart as she made her way through the busy streets of Shanghai after the war. Qiyao was caught up in a delicate dance between sadness and passion among the changing cityscape. She experienced love in a variety of ways, including innocent love that developed in the streets, short-lived love that left an imprint on her, and more meaningful relationships that filled her heart. But in addition to the soft embrace of love, Qiyao felt the sharp pain of loss. Relationships can occasionally wither and drift apart, much like precious petals caught in the winds of change. Every departure left an imprint on her, carrying with it lessons learned and painful memories. Qiyao learned about the complex web of feelings that twisted through the narrow passages of her heart via the highs and lows of the love journey. She discovered that human ties have endured and learned to be brave in the face of pain. The city kept changing in the middle of love's symphony. However, Its routine was broken from time to time by the happiness and sorrow that boomed through the streets. Her experiences were woven together by love and grief, creating a portrait of a woman formed by the feelings that vibrated through her existence in Shanghai after the war. Chapter 6. The City's Canvas. Shanghai's post-war cityscape changed throughout time, presenting the city as a canvas covered in layers of hopes, history, and change. Observing this change, Wang Qiyao saw how the city's canvas changed and evolved along with her own trip. The familiar and intimate passageways of the Lantong were now woven into a broader context. Beyond its walls was a city always changing, an array of long-standing customs and new goals. With their towers reaching the sky, the streets of stone, steeped in history, were hidden in shadows. Qiyao left the Lantong and explored the busy streets and secret areas of the city. Every street and building in the city served as a witness to its change, demonstrating the people's flexibility and fortitude. Shanghai attracted with its promise of opportunity and growth, a mixing pot of cultures. The heartbeat of the city matched Qiao's own goals, reflecting her inner need for development and change. The streets were alive with the energy of transformation, welcoming modernity while preserving what was left of the past. In this large canvas, Qiao was only a brushstroke, her existence disappearing into the many patterns the people of the city had constructed together. She was able to get a glimpse of the many lives that came together in Shanghai's urban sprawl, hardships, and bravery of those who called it home. The city's canvas reflected the intricacies of human existence at a period of transition, serving as more than just a background. Shanghai's continuous canvas attracted Qiao. Every building was a monument to freedom and resiliency, and every street told a tale. Her own voyage struck a chord with the city's atmosphere, which was a blend of heritage and modernity. She became a part of Shanghai's tale as she strolled about the streets, her experiences becoming a stitch in the colorful history of the city, adding another layer to its rich and ever-expanding painting. Chapter 7. Crossroads. Wang Qiyao found herself in a critical situation among the curving roads of Shanghai's constantly changing surface. She was standing at the crossroads of her dreams and realities of her personal goals and the expectations of society as well. Tradition's whispers in one ear encouraged her to follow the well-trod route set by her family and community. The whispers of her dreams, however, came louder in her heart, calling her to picture a future for herself outside. Qiao had trouble at the moment between her desire for independence and her family's expectations. She felt as though she was supposed to live a particular life, but she also wanted to live it according to her own terms, and expectations fell heavily on her shoulders. The city's streets, with their crossroads similar to the opposite roads she had to choose, appeared to reflect her inner struggle. Qiao stood amid a crowd of people and lively streets, feeling the weight of decisions coming down on her. The meeting point of her past and future, tradition and advancement, community ties and personal goals was represented by the crossroads. The course of her life hung dangerously in that direction right away, waiting for her decision to tip the balance in one direction or the other. Qiao was at a turning point in her life with choices that could alter her future at this point in her life. The fork in the road represented the intricacy of decision-making, offering her the intimidating yet freeing chance of creating her own route through the maze-like experience of life in Shanghai after the war. Chapter 8. Echoes of Change. The winds of change blew continuously as Wang Qiyao walked the maze-like streets of post-war Shanghai. They echoed through the city's alleys and reflected in the fabric of her existence. The once known terrain experienced a transformation, defined by the booming steps of advancement and development. Inside the busy streets, the noise of change could be heard. The creative thinking and flexible nature that pulsated through the city's lifeblood created a symphony of change that seeped into all of its corners. Buildings grew taller, bridges developed, and the skyline changed, all signs of time's ceaseless passage. These echoes of change became clear to Qiao not only in the cities towards changes but also in the way her own life was changing. Dreams changed, relationships changed, and goals took on new shades, mirroring the city's constant change. These ripple effects also affected the community inside the Lantong. Modernity and tradition mixed together to create an unstable agreement between the past and the near future. Qiyao saw directly the strength of her community, changing to the moving beat of the capital while clutching to the principles that kept them grounded during the periods of uncertainty. The sound of change served as a reminder of life cycles and the certain progression of mankind. They encouraged Qiyao to accept the changing winds, to keep up with the flow of change, and to find her place in Shanghai's changing post-war environment. Chapter 9: Resilience in Adversity. Wang Qiyao became a symbol of determination in the face of hardship amid the flurry of events and the noise of change. Stories of courage forged in the oven of life's challenges rang with the echoes of her journey through post-war Shanghai. Originally a place to breed for difficulties, Qiyao's fortitude flourished in the Lontong alleys. Every challenge and disappointment she had served as milestones on her journey to personal development and a sense of self. Qiyao showed determination in the face of both personal hardships and cultural expectations. She continued to move forward with a firm attitude that would not give in to hardship, rejecting to be constrained by the constraints that were placed upon her. The city itself took on the role of a mirror for her determination, with its streets paved with tales of fortitude and its structures standing firm in the face of constant change. The city's enduring energy provided Qiyao with comfort. The toughness shown in each brick and stone gave her strength. Her path was an array of victories and regrets held together by determination and resolve. When faced with difficulties, Qiyao found a strength within herself that allowed her to move forward in spite of every obstacle in her way. Qiyao's determination was best shown in Chapter 9, as she walked through the difficulties of living in Shanghai after the war and rose as a pillar of strength in the face of the wild currents of change. Chapter 10: The Song of Everlasting Sorrow. Wang Qiyao stood at a crossroads of reflection as the tapestry of her life in post-war Shanghai reached its peak, her journey culminating in a symphony of experiences, emotions, and lessons learnt. The Song of Everlasting Sorrow was more than just a tune. It was a mosaic made of strands representing hope and sorrow, strength and vulnerability, and dreams and reality. With the ease of a master, Qiyao led the orchestra of her life, her travels across the vast options and winding streets of the town booming in every note. Qiyao thought back on the harmonies of her past in this chapter, including the melodies of love and sorrow, the echoes of her early dreams, and the rhythms of her determination in the face of hardship. The city was her canvas, her friend, its streets etched with the footsteps of her journey, bearing witness to the poetry of her life. Looking out at the urban skyline painted in dusk colors, Qiyao accepted the beauty of changing circumstances. Both she and the city had changed. Her heart grew full of appreciation for the trip, the effects of change that shaped her personality, and the fortitude that kept her going through all the ups and downs. The Song of Everlasting Sorrow was a celebration of a life lived in the face of history's shifting tides, a life lived in connection with a city that represented her own growth and development, rather than a lament. This last chapter of Qiyao's journey shared the eternal reality of the human spirit, a soul that keeps going, survives, and finds solace in the eternal music of life's symphony, leaving behind a legacy of determination and a song that defies the years. Key learnings. Important lessons become clear as guiding lights in the maze of Wang Qiyao's experiences during her travels in Shanghai following World War II. Her ability to bounce back from adversity teaches others about the inner power that survives and cultivates the idea that challenges can lead to progress. Qiyao's pursuit of dreams in the face of social expectations stresses the value of accepting individual goals, even when they differ from conventional pathways, and cultivating the bravery to forge one's own route in life. Her narrative echoes the idea that although change is natural, a person's spirit and ideals can serve as steadfast pillars. In addition, Qiyao's development underlines how important it is to welcome change and variety in a culture that is constantly changing. It shows the importance of valuing one's roots while changing to the changing environment, signifying the beauty in overcoming life's challenges with an open heart and a steadfast spirit. In the end, her story symbolizes the timeless lesson of determination, courage, and searching for individuality in a world marked by constant change.